Hello, my name is Aedan Stanley. I am number 4 now on the Austin FC, and you are listening to the Austin Anthem podcast.
Austin FC, unite, support, community. Austin Anthem, it's you and me, everybody, opportunity.
Welcome to episode 69 of the Austin Anthem podcast, the longest running soccer podcast in Central Texas. And now a quick rundown of what's in this episode. We'll go over our first win combined with our first goals, an interview with Austin FC defender Aedan Stanley, and you get to hear our amazing weekly predictions. Your hosts this week are myself, Robert Avery, at RLAvery161 on Twitter, Matt Barber, at Matt_Barber on Twitter, Jorge Chavez, at Jorge831 on Twitter. Let's get into some Anthem updates. Coming up this weekend, May 1st, at Celis Brewing, we've got a watch party for Austin FC versus Minnesota. Matt, you want to give us a little background on what's going to be going on out at Celis this weekend?
Yeah, I think for this one, we're not going to have the huge screen, but there'll be plenty of other small screens around. The doors open, I believe, at noon, and then the Anthem deals start, I want to say 4:30, 5:30. I mean, like if you wanted good information and correct information, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast in the first place. But just go to our website and go to the watch parties, and everything is there that you need to know to be able to come to that and all of our future watch parties.
Yeah, as Matt suggested, austinanthem.org. You can check out all of our watch parties. Going off that, May 9th, we'll be at Haymaker for the Sporting Kansas City match. Moving on, we wanted to give a huge shout out to Centennial 38 in Denver for their hospitality this last week. The party at the Celtic pre-match was pretty awesome. At Celtic, all right, whatever. Celtic. You know, Celtic, Celtic.
Celtic's the football team. Celtic is the bar.
Celtics is the basketball team, Matt. Oh, man. Three of us on this podcast were actually in Denver at that party, myself, Jorge, and Matt. So we're going to go into our Austin FC updates. And, guys, we got our first win.
Yeah. I'm still talking about it.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I mean, it was just such a fun experience. But I guess we'll stick to the match at first, and then we'll get into all the accompanying stuff afterwards, I think. I'll just jump in real quick. I mean, first half, obviously, we gave up the goal, and we were actually playing really good, I felt like, and had good possession to the midfield. I mean, we were leading possession at the half. I remember because you and I commented on it, Robert. So we had certainly improved there. And, the goal that they scored was, you just have to give them credit. I mean, it was a good run of play on their part. So I wouldn't even call it a bad defensive breakdown that we had. Man, but whatever mysterious speech happened at halftime, and I know you asked your interviewee Aedan about that, and we'll get to hear his answer later. But they came out and just blew the doors off the place in the second half, and by their performance, we as the fans just. It was incredible. I mean, it was so much fun to be a part of, especially that first goal. I've never seen more airborne beer in my entire life.
I think I still have beer in my hair from that.
Yeah.
And I've showered at least twice since then.
I have beer in my hair from that too, and I don't even have hair.
And I took my cowboy hat, my famous black cowboy hat, and it cannot be washed, so it'll keep the beer stench on it. But But yeah, it was pretty exciting to be. I mean, you guys were a little bit higher up than the rest of the crowd, and I was kind of more in the middle of it. And boy, it was pandemonium when Fagundes scored that goal. Kudos to Diego Fagundes, because he was not supposed to start. It was supposed to be Pochettino, but as we all know by now, there's some sort of transfer issue or registration issue with his signing, and he was held out of abundance of caution. And you know, us in that were there in the stands in Denver, we had no idea. We were expecting him to show up. He didn't show up as a substitute. We didn't know what was going on.
So that's crazy when we saw the lineups and like,
yeah, I said, where is that guy?
There's no Pochettino. Where?
Yeah, and so that was kind of worrying. And then obviously Beasler wasn't there either. But we, in the few minutes after the game started, we found out what happened. But Fagundes took the opportunity. I mean, he was very dynamic as well. He was obviously scored the first goal. Very instrumental in the second goal by stealing the ball away from the Rapids player and playing it into the box. I mean, he was all over the place, so he was pretty inspired. And kind of to add to what Connor was adding about the altitude and the comments that the Colorado commentators were saying, I asked Josh Wolf if the hyperbaric chambers that the players used before the game here during the week, and the fact that they traveled the morning of the game, if that affected them. And he said he was pleasantly surprised. He was very complimentary of the St. David staff, that apparently they had a little hand in getting the guys prepared for the altitude. And like Connor said, instead of getting tired as this game progressed, they started getting better and better. I mean, they were dangerous up to the last minute. I mean, Rodney Dez had a one-on-one against the keeper, and he just sort of hit it straight at him. Otherwise, it could have been a 4-1 game. So they were dangerous throughout, and as the game progressed, they got more and more and more aggressive, and so it was impressive, to say the least.
So I think part of the reason they may have gotten more and more aggressive is the boost they got from our supporter section.
Yes.
We've heard it and seen it all over Twitter, and all the talking heads have talked about it over the past few days. But being there, it's almost like something I've never experienced before. And I've been to multiple soccer matches, and this one, it may be because I'm emotionally attached to the team. You know, I've been supporting them before they even had a name, before we even had a team, and finally getting that win, those goals, is just something special. I think that definitely contributed to what we saw in that second half, and they did look like they got stronger after halftime, whether it was they were coming towards us on that side of the pitch, or they could hear us throughout the whole match, and it pumped them up. Going off of that, though, I do have a press clip that our own Mark Turner recorded after the match. It's fairly short. It's about a minute long, and it's Mark Turner and Josh Wolf. We'll let you listen for yourself.
Thank you. Mark Turner.
Hey, Coach. As you can see, I'm in a rather unorthodox spot here. I want to let you know that I actually chose not to do press box today, and I wanted to be in the stands. I thought today was going to be a special day. I don't have a question for you. I literally just want to thank you and the team for a remarkable evening. I've been on the stands for over 30 years of my life watching football, and this is one of the greatest nights watching a football team that I have ever had. So I just want to thank you and the boys. Fantastic night. Well, I appreciate it. And obviously, thanks for the support. Thanks for being there. And, I think this hopefully, is an indication of what we can be. We have a lot to work on, but our guys, put a lot into that game, certainly the second half, and they were rewarded for it. And hopefully the fans appreciated that. Again, I can't say enough about their contributions before the game, during the game, and after the game. And that support is talked about, is well recognized. Our guys love the fans, the community, and that's one thing that's been there from the moment these guys have set their foot in Austin. And we're really proud of it, and that connection is important. So thanks for the support. Thanks for being there.
So Josh was very, very complimentary of the supporters in that clip, wouldn't you guys say?
Oh yeah, I mean, I did hear that clip, and he's right. I mean, Josh Wolf is right. we never stopped shouting. I mean, I was fortunate enough to know a lot of the chants anyway, so I was able to participate, as you can probably hear, because my voice is all hoarse. But it was very exciting. I mean, like I said, I was in the middle of the fracas there. Some guys were super excited. There were some guys that cried because of the emotions and everything. So it was a lot of these guys, when we were all together as part of Anthem, now that they're part of Los Verdes. So I knew them all personally, and it was just very satisfying being with them and with my new Austin Anthem friends. Shane Herdig was right next to me as well, and so there were a lot of people there that put a lot of effort into creating this kind of atmosphere, and boy, it was very obvious. I think I saw a clip someone took from the press box looking at, I don't know if it was after the first or the second goal, but they panned towards where the Austin FC fan group was, which is it was 3 sections of the whole stadium, and they were loud. And then they looked over to the Centennial 38 section. It was super quiet. So I think we're starting to make a statement that Austin FC fans are really into their team, and obviously Josh Wolf and the players know that, and it's going to be something that's going to be akin to the 12th man. Anywhere on the road that they're going to be, they know they're going to have that support. So obviously the next game is at Minnesota, and I'm not going to go to that game, but I'm sure it's going to be quite packed as well.
Well, all 29 of us would do our best, Jorge.
Yeah.
For that.
Oh, you're going?
Yeah. No, I'll be in Minnesota. But I think one thing that people, maybe didn't notice or might not have realized is, all 3 goals were scored, at the end where our sections were, and the players came over and celebrated with us each time, and then after the match, they came over and Ring, got a megaphone and, just expressed his thanks. And I didn't actually even hear everything he said because we were so loud. And, Anthony Precourt came down and he was like right in the middle of all of us. So it was just such a fun, awesome moment. Frankly, after the first goal, I would have been perfectly happy with a 1-1 draw, and I would have still been, out of my mind, cheering, chanting, loving the entire moment. But that's where the second and third goals, we just, went nuts. And like you said, people either, had tears in their eyes or were just hugging each other, hugging people you didn't know. It didn't matter. I mean, it was so fun. And then, be able to go out afterwards and celebrate with everybody just was, it felt like one big, Verdi family. And that's kind of how it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
speaking of Precourt,
yes.
He and Andy showed up at one of the after parties that we had done there and bought a round.
Yeah, there were 2 after parties.
Yeah,
there were 2.
and then Andy stuck around after Anthony left and bought the whole bar pizza that came in. I think that was 1 a.m. in the morning, 1:30 in the morning.
I don't know. It was good, is all I know.
It was good pizza.
Yeah,
so hungry by that point.
Yeah, what was funny is that they ordered 2 types of the cheese and then the pepperoni, and they brought the cheese pizzas first. I said, "Oh, that's great," and everything. But we were kind of looking for the pepperoni, so as soon as the first one shows up, everybody started chanting for the pepperoni pizza. So I thought that was they still had energy to get that.
They lay it on the table and and you get cheese and they'd be like, and then somebody opened a pepperoni and the whole table's like,
all right.
Good times.
So, I mean, the Celtic, they kind of expected it because that's actually a C38, a Rapid supporters bar. But I think at the Ryan House, those people did not know what hit them.
No.
When all couple hundred, Verdi Negros walked in there, and we started doing chants and cheers, and we basically took over the whole upstairs, and it was just electric. It was so much fun, and I just cannot stress to anybody enough that obviously our game days here will be awesome and great, but I think where we really build our bonds as a group is when we travel. So if you're able to, definitely try and get to an away match or 2.
Yeah, I definitely see this as a positive, both for us as Austin Anthem members and for La Murga and Los Verdes, because I shared with some experiences with some of those veterans, and they had the same issue that they had a lot of random people coming up to them and say, "Hey, where are you guys? And what are you doing?" And they got enthusiastic about the team. I mean, Matt, I think you met Luis is just a random guy we met at the airport that wanted something to do in Denver for the weekend, and he was going to meet some friends, and we invited him to the game. He was there, and he partied with us, and he brought his two friends with him, and now they're Austin Anthem members, if I'm not mistaken. So, and Los Verdes has the same type of people. So, as we show the type of atmosphere that we're trying to build, I mean, it's just going to grow more and more, and so it's very contagious, that enthusiasm that Austin FC
For sure.
having.
And then we also have to give a shout out.
Yeah.
Because before and I don't necessarily want to move on because it's fun to talk about, but we also have to give a shout out to our colleague that wasn't able to be here tonight, but was in Colorado with us, Mark Turner,
Right.
in that the entire section acted like Japanese fans, which is something we've talked about before here, but like everybody walked around and cleaned up trash and made sure our section was spotless before we left, so that the staff at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, didn't even have to worry about, our section. So that is something I hope we carry on every place we ever go. So people are happy to have Austin FC fans in town.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That tradition that we're going to establish is to clean up after ourselves, other than the beer, because there's a lot of beer was spilled. So that's the only thing we weren't able to pick up. But other than that, we left our stadium section spotless. And one thing that I do again want to commend the Centennial 38 fans, because as we were walking back to the buses that took us to the game, we met up with a lot of the Centennial fans who were obviously disappointed their team didn't win, but they're very complimentary about what we brought to the game. They said they can't wait to come down to Austin to give us our revenge or whatever, a little banner as it is, but they were very complimentary, very, very happy that we were there.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun time, but we've got to move on.
Yeah.
Keep the show rolling. So let's roll into man of the match. I'm going to start with you, Matt. Who was your man of our first win?
I would say Diego Fagundes. Obviously, the first goal ever scored in team history. And like Jorge said earlier, I mean, he basically created the second one from scratch. Stole the ball and, made the entry pass, that led to the second one. So plus, it had, pretty badass bleach hair. So, I mean, all those things combined for me, he was my man of the match. I mean, he's going to go down in Austin FC history for sure for the first ever goal.
Agreed. Jorge?
Yeah, it's a toss up for me between Cecilio and Diego Fagundes, but I give the edge to Diego because, like I said earlier, he probably wasn't expected to start, and so anytime a player is, I'm sure every player in the roster is ready to start, but until you're told that you're going to start, you don't really know. And so to be told that he was going to start probably a few minutes after, I mean, like I said, Tomás Pochettino traveled with the team. He was going to start.
He was listed as the starter on like when the Rapids, broadcast team, listed the lineups. He was listed as a starter still.
And somewhere along the line of the flight, he was told that MLS, I guess, called Austin FC with that issue, and they decided to hold him out. So it must have been, a surprise for Diego to start. So just with that pressure and to be able to turn in the performance that he did, not only scoring the goal, but that stolen ball to create the second goal, I'd have to give take my cap off to that guy. Yeah.
So I could go with the easy picks, and naturally Diego and Cecilio deserve to be man of the match, but I think mine's going to go to Jan coming on for Ben Sweat. He came on and he did his thing when he hit the pitch. He was in the right places at the right time. He was pushing the pace of play. I mean, I could also go with Jared Stroud because if it weren't for his shot being deflected right to Diego, then we wouldn't have our first goal. But I'll have to give it to Jan Kolmanic.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they all played very, very well. I couldn't really see. Even a shout out to Cascante because he obviously started in place of Beasler, and I think to all of us we can say that we were nervous that, oh my God, Cascante, because he did not look good in preseason. He did not, and he played very well. He played very well right next to Romania. I'm sure the fact that they both speak Spanish has helped both of them organize themselves to see who's going to cover who. But yeah, I mean, Cascante put in a very, very good performance as well.
Agreed. I think he probably took our criticism and turned it around and was like, well, you're going to talk about me like that? Here's what I can do. And hopefully he keeps doing that because, I mean, I could see him jockeying for a spot back there with Beasler and Romagna, the way that he played during that match. It was a good defensive effort by him.
Yeah, because one of the things that also Josh Wolf also said is that, it's not good. The same guys aren't going to start all 38 games. So Beasler's going to take good amount of games off depending on who the competition is. And so who's going to start in his place is going to be Cascante. He's got to get ready. So yeah.
And Cecilio really deserves credit too, because I think we've all kind of criticized him a little bit over the last few weeks based on he wasn't really as dominating as you would hope for a DP in the preseason matches, and really did not have a good game at all in the opening match against LAFC. But he clearly showed what he's capable of in this one. So that's he deserves credit for quickly acclimating himself to MLS. It's not always easy, going from more South American style of football to MLS style.
Right. I think he is starting to get his feet under him, and scoring a brace definitely helps get that confidence up. Hopefully he can keep that rolling, and we can keep rolling on with wins. As we alluded to a little bit in our game recap, we had a pretty bad injury happen during the match to Ben Sweat. It seems that he's tore his ACL and he's going to be out for the season. And then we also got update today that Segura underwent a transplantation surgery in his left knee. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce what he had done, but he's going to start rehab. And I know the folks at St. David's are going to get him right and hopefully back on the pitch this season. But those losses that's pretty big for our defense. How do you guys think it affects our lineup moving forward?
Well, they're going to definitely need some help. One thing to note is, and it doesn't really happen all that much, is that they still have their third DP that they can choose. So I think they'll see at the summer window to see who's available. They could pick someone on defense, but it's very rare that you do that any team uses their DP as for a defensive back. But if needed, they'll go find a guy. But I think they'll want to see for the next couple of games to see how they handle the pressure, the guys that they have now, and hopefully Kolmanic doesn't get hurt. I think I can't recall who's his backup for left back now, but if they can find a replacement for left back, then that I'm sure Claudio Reyna's looking at at waiver wire to see who they find, a guy from USL maybe or something.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the coaches were starting Ben Sweat over Kolmanic for reasons that they know better than us. And obviously, I wish Ben all the best in his recovery. But that said, I don't think it's going to be a net loss in performance on the field. I mean, Kolmanic has shown. I mean, perhaps his defending isn't quite as good as Ben Sweat's, but what he can deliver moving forward and his crossing is just off the charts. I mean, he is so accurate and quick from it, and he can deliver it from anywhere, up and down the left side. I mean, he has like a magic left foot. So I think he's going to bring a lot to the table and really grow into the position, and he's going to be a fun guy to watch.
So it looks like this week they actually signed someone on loan who's listed as a midfielder in Emmanuel Perez from the Portland Timbers. But it seems like he's kind of a super sub. He plays both midfield and defense. So I think they were looking forward to Sweat being out for the season when they were thinking of this acquisition.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, because they still have other defenders. I mean, they still have Hector Jimenez, who has played left back before in his career. I think he didn't play as much last year with the Crew, but he has played that position before, so he could be an emergency starter if needed to be behind Colt Manich if he gets injured or something, but. As far as Manny Perez, he does have quality. He was part of the under-22 men's national team for the United States. So I think he's 22 if I'm not mistaken. But so he's a young guy. He is on loan from Portland. So Portland also has some good players that they just needed a team for him to play, and so it's going to be the similar situation as Sebastian Berhalter, that they like these guys, they have potential, and again, it's another situation, very rare that you see that one MLS team loans their player to another MLS team.
Right.
So
yeah.
You hardly ever see that, and you already seen it twice for Austin FC. So I think that speaks to the reputation that Josh Wolf has around the league already, that he has that ability to help people, especially young kids, develop their craft and either get signed with the team or go on to bigger and better things back in their original clubs.
I think it also speaks to Claudio Reyna's pull in MLS as to why we're getting all these loan to purchase offers from other MLS teams.
Agree.
Well, and one name we didn't mention that it could also impact is who you're talking to later,
right,
in this podcast, Robert. So, very, fortuitous for unfortunate reasons, but that we were able to have him on this week.
Yeah, I think Aedan's still in good standing with the team. I think we'll end up seeing him on the pitch at some point this season. Playing in that attacking left back spot that he's known for.
Yeah, because I think as it is, the way the hierarchy is now, I think it's young Colt Manich starting, probably Aedan Stanley and Jimenez as 1A, 1B backups. So I guess they'll play it to see who, because it's one thing to start Aedan Stanley when you have, a Chicharito or some, a rejuvenated Chicharito, by the way, going against you. So do you want that young kid Stanley out there, or do you want Jimenez, who probably knows Chicharito or has played Chicharito type of players before? So it'll be just situational, and that's something that Josh Wolf said during this press conference, that's just going to happen throughout the season.
Yeah. So let's move on to a little bit more happy news here. When we found out in the stadium that Matt Beasler wasn't in the starting lineup, everybody for a little bit kind of freaked out, but he posted on Twitter that his wife had their new baby on match day, so he ended up staying back in Austin. So we want to give him a congrats on the newborn.
Well, definitely. I think it's his third kid, but I think it's his first son, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, well, if it's his third kid, though, I mean, You've already had the experience a couple of times. If it was the first one, I mean, I don't know. I got kids. After the first one, you've been there, done that.
So I feel we should briefly touch on this little subject as well. When it came out that Tomas wasn't in the lineup and nobody knew what was up, and the club posted that there were some issues with something. They didn't really say what, and he wasn't there. What were you guys thinking when you saw that tweet come out from the front office?
I mean, I've never even heard of this before. Yeah, panic for sure, but I've never heard of a situation like this in the league before, where someone, has been announced as a player, has played in a match, and then suddenly, out of the blue, is pulled. After having traveled, as Jorge mentioned earlier, pulled out of a match because of issues with his transfer. I mean, and we still, as of when we're recording Tuesday evening, don't have any more information than we did Sunday, basically. So I think this is a kind of a real test for the team to an extent, that how this is handled and how it shakes out. I mean, like one incident isn't going to define the team, but if for some reason he's not able to play, oh my gosh, then hopefully that's not what ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, he's still practicing, so that's what Josh Wolf was saying in his conference, is that he didn't really give much insight as well, because he probably doesn't know what's going on either. But Pochettino is practicing with the team, and from speaking to Chris Bills and a couple other media guys, they say that it doesn't sound like it's something very seriously. It sounds like a paperwork issue. It doesn't sound like it's like what happened with Inter Miami and Blaise Matuidi and 4 DPs and all that kind of stuff, and they get fines. It's not that, because we only have 2 DPs in the team. So I think it's just a paperwork issue, and that hopefully will get resolved. But since they don't know anything, they can't really tell us anything either. So hopefully that's all it is, and we'll be able to see them on the pitch. But again, their performance this past weekend gives me a little ease of mind that if he can't play again, they'll be okay.
Right. As long as it gets resolved soon and we keep winning, then hey, that's all you can ask for, right? So this week, I had the pleasure of interviewing Austin FC defender Aedan Stanley for the podcast. Thanks for joining us, Aedan.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you, man. So I couple questions we go through, and you can elaborate a little more if you want, or just answer them straight up. No sweat off my back. So we'll just get into it. I'll cut an intro for the interview while we're recording the overall podcast, so I know what we're kind of going to talk about here. So going back to when you got drafted by Austin FC, you were signed by KC2 like 5 days before that. What were your feelings like when they called your name to play for us?
Oh yeah, like you said, it was kind of an unexpected journey, kind of confusion almost. I didn't truly think I was going to be a part of the draft. I actually found out through Twitter once they announced the eligibility. My dad knocked on my door and he said, "Did you see this?" And I was like, what are you talking about? And he shows me this list that, I'm draft eligible. And then, so it kind of, I don't know, just opens doors that you thought were closed, because I had gone on a different path, leaving college early, signing within the USL at T2. And then, so here comes the draft. I didn't know or didn't think I was even going to be drafted, just because of the particular path I kind of took. And so come draft day, I was just happy to be a part of it. It's always nice to have your name out there. You know what I mean? Be a part of such a tradition. with a bunch of really high level players. So as it's going, I'm sitting on the couch watching it, just grateful to be a part of it. And then here comes Colorado's turn. And the way the draft was set up, there's 3-minute intervals, kind of to get your decision made up, and then there's timeouts. So I can't remember. There might have been a timeout. Maybe it was just me, so it felt like an hour. Then Austin FC, there's been a trade. So now no longer Colorado's turn, it's Austin's turn at the 21st pick. And next thing you know, Claudio says we would pick Aedan Stanley. And Attic didn't really know what was going on because, like you said, I was still a part of Kansas City and just had become a part of them. So now it was like all up in the air. Didn't really know what was going to happen. Got a call from Claudio, thanked him, and he was thanking me, and just words of endearment and just thankful. And then also I would like to say thank you to Sporting Kansas City and Sporting Kansas City too for allowing me to even come to preseason and really showcase myself to the coaching staff here, because I'm not sure they really had to do that. I think it was kind of a privilege that I'm very thankful for them allowing me to end up where I am.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we were all pretty happy when you were picked. Those of us that have actually kind of followed you through, Portland and KC too. But for the fans who have yet to see you play and haven't followed you going back to Duke and some of your earlier playing days, what would you say some of your strengths are that you're going to bring to Austin for us?
Obviously, or for people who don't know, I play left fullback. And I would like to think that I'm sort of on that new modern fullback. I like to get into the attack and whip balls in. Josh Wolf, head coach, he's all about 2v1s, and I like to combine and, try to get into the attack. I like to be on the ball. So whether it be in the attack or in the build-up, I'll always try to be an option. I won't shy away.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I would say, sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, I'm just enjoying hearing you talk here.
Yeah.
About you.
No, this is neat. This is like the first time I've ever truly been a part of a podcast, and it's a sick platform that you guys got going, because it is a really good way to meet the fans. Like,
It really is. I mean, we get out, it's mainly done for our supporters group, but it's a larger audience in America that wants Austin FC stuff.
Yeah. One thing I would say, one of my main strengths and promises to my teammates, coaching staff, as well as the fans, is that I will always give 100% fight and energy in every game, in every training. And I would like to think that I'm someone that they can rely on and put trust in me. I think that's a huge part of being a good teammate, especially in soccer, because it's 11 people. It's not really 11 people, it's 18. It's an entire roster. But when you are out there, 11 v 11, you need to be able to count on every single person, because that's just the law of the game.
Right. No, definitely. What was it like being part of our first victory, to be part of the team, see those first goals go in?
Obviously, there's been a lot of firsts for this team this inaugural season, and I've been a part of a good amount of them coming in early in preseason and stuff. But there's not really many words that you can kind of put together for that moment. Magical, amazing, but still that doesn't truly do it justice. And I think side by side, watching and seeing the energy from, the traveling away supporters, as well as the team and the guys on the sideline on Diego's first goal of the season,
beauty.
That was up there with the amount of spectacular, how good it felt to see the team finally put that goal in it felt almost as good as that win to truly see it, because we always harp goals, goals is what bring people, as well as wins, but goals make people smile,
Right.
goals are what forwards and an entire team plays for. And to see that first goal go in, I think there was a feeling and kind of like a wave of energy that you knew that the win was there for the taking. And I think it kind of, the laws of nature kind of teetered that way, with the second and third coming from Cecilio. And I don't think there was any way it could have gotten better. Maybe a home game, but
I would have been, I think a home game would have been even better. I know there's a lot of people out there wondering, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, if you don't know or don't want to give it to us. Was there a plan to score in the supporters group half to start it off? I mean, it worked out perfectly. It really did, that we were over on that side.
I don't think I'm allowed to touch on that. I think that might be might be in the classified files here. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe I could slip you something sometime. But going off of that, I can't imagine and can't wait to see goals being scored in the Q2 in our stadium. I cannot imagine it, because to see an away supporters section like that and feel the energy, whether it be through the TV or even there, and hear it, that's astounding. And that's a props to you guys, because, this team, this club organization is nothing without you. The supporters are everything. And you can clearly see that, especially now what's going on with the Super League. Like, without the fans backing and the love and trust, it's a family, and you guys are 100% a part of it, if not the biggest part. Everything is done for you guys. So thank you.
And I was there in that stadium. It was a great day. It was a great night.
Yeah.
So all the stuff going on online about the Verde goalkeeper's kit. What is your favorite kit out of the three? I guess there's four with the pink kit for the goalkeeper, but what's your favorite one overall?
I think those 20, the white and Verde are nice. I really do. I think they're clean, but I'm going to have to go with the black and Verde. If I'm not mistaken, we're the only team this year sporting the vertical stripe lines as on the kit. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty unique. And also it's just black and green kind of just go together, It looks sharp. And then I like the socks, Listos on the front of them. And I think that truly, we're ready. So why not?
Oh, we're definitely ready. We just got to keep stringing those wins together now.
100%. Same energy.
So having been in Austin for a little while now, what do you like most about being here? I guess, what do you like most? What are your favorite things to do in town as well?
So, the weather, obviously. I come from the Midwest, and I was in Portland last year, so it's a bit different, It has been quite kind of crazy here. Like last week it was rainy and cloudy, and then it went to 81 real quick. So hopefully we can get more days like that, but I'll take what I can get. The food here is amazing.
What's your favorite food so far?
So I've been to Cooper's Barbecue downtown. Very good. I rate that very highly. Veracruz tacos, also very highly.
Good. Oh yeah,
they are very good. I have yet to go to Salt Lick Barbecue, but I've only heard good things, and that is definitely on my list. And I need to go there. So that'll be in there.
Pretty good.
Do you have any recommendations?
Oh man, I haven't gotten out a lot in the last year and a half. But really, Torchy's queso is one thing to have.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Torchy's queso is really good. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head right now. That's a must-have.
That's what I've heard. I actually do need to. Yeah. So now I got two. I got Salt Lick and Torchy's queso. So
Torchy's queso.
I'll definitely have to check them out. But another thing that I truly like about Austin is like the community. There's so many different aspects, but it seems like everyone kind of comes together. It's kind of like a melting pot. And there is a sense of, slightly kind of, but of like family. Kind of everyone comes together, and then there's this feeling of respect, which are two core values that I kind of hold pretty dear to me. And to see that within, you know, the community, within the fans, within the team, even, yeah, it's really good to see. And it's easy to call this place home now, because that feeling of, you know, family and respect, and that someone else has your back, even if you don't really know them. There doesn't need to be, you know, a true connection, just to know that someone does have your back, and it's nice. It is.
Right. Yeah. And I think all of our supporters groups also kind of champion those values, and we all come together on game day. It's one family in the stands.
The presence is, you know, truly felt, you know, the backing of the supporters pushes the team to go farther and farther. And then, you know, there's no limit when you truly have people's backs and you can trust and rely on them. There is no limit. Together, anything is possible. So I truly believe that. So
agreed. And that's one thing that all the supporters groups, I can only speak for Anthem, but I know Los Verdes and La Murga as the band, we're all going to stand up and cheer and chant for the full 90 minutes. It's going to be different than any other stadium where their supporters just kind of sit down at certain times. No, we're always up, always chanting, bringing that noise.
It's the harder the team goes, it's all one unit. It's all together. You know, everything is connected from the bottom to the top, from the coaching staff, technical staff. And this is what I'd say as well, that we were talking about, you know, people having each other's backs, and we've only been together, you know, 8 to 10 weeks. 8 to 10 weeks is, you know, well, that's a long time, but really to put a team together and really try to create a culture, that's no time at all. And to be able to do that in the way things have been setting up, the way Josh has done it, Claudio has done it, it's coming along, and you can truly, truly see it. And not just within the players, but like we talked about, within the fans, the supporters groups coming up through the team and feeling that energy. And then that everyday stuff, from the coaching staff to the medical staff to the technical staff that you see every day, you know, they're behind you and we're behind them. So it truly makes something successful. You know, there's a good feeling about it. And yeah.
Yeah. Cool. If there's anything else that you'd want to add that we haven't touched on, you want to say if you want to say anything to the folks out there.
I'd like to thank you for having me on this and allowing me to be welcomed into this city and into this organization. And I promise to do everything I can and fight for you, you know, edge on the front and for the people in the stands. It's it. Yeah. Together.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and I can't wait to see you out there on the pitch sooner rather than later, hopefully.
It's a long season, and I'm there for it all the way through.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
That was awesome stuff from Aedan Stanley there. On that note, let's move into our predictions. A little recap of the host prediction table. Currently, we've got myself and Matt tied with 4 points at the top of the table.
How?
Which we've got Connor in third with 2 points, and Mark is bringing up the rear with that single point. Last week, the only person to get one correct with the score was Matt in the New England DC United match, where he picked New England 1-0 over DC United.
Congratulations to me.
So this week was my week to pick the matches that we were doing picks for. So the first match that we are selecting is Seattle Sounders versus LA Galaxy. Let's start off with Matt.
Close enough. Same thing. Yeah. I'm just taller and less English. So Connor actually stole my prediction here because he put his in before me, and I just didn't want to duplicate that. So I originally thought 2-2 draw. I changed it to Galaxy winning 2-1. It definitely feels like I agree with what Connor said. Chicharito is gonna keep that streak going. You look, as long as he's on the pitch, they are going to be a very, very dangerous team. I mean, we all made fun of Connor a little bit when he picked him for the playoffs, but if he plays in a majority of the matches, that may very well end up coming true. I'm just still skeptical about how much he plays, but nonetheless, right now he's on fire to start the season. So I think the Galaxy pull out 2-1.
Yeah, that's where I went with my pick. We did give Connor a bunch of crap about Chicharito when he picked him for the playoffs, but seeing him now, as long as he doesn't get injured, LA Galaxy does have a good shot at cracking the top in the West to get in there. So I picked LA Galaxy winning 3-2 over Seattle. Seattle does have a strong team, so they will score against LA Galaxy, but I'm going to make a wild prediction here and say Chicharito gets a hat trick in this match against Seattle. He scores
back-to-back hats. That would be something.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's a crazy prediction there. So Mark left us his predictions, and on this one, he went Seattle 2-1. It doesn't surprise me. He went with Seattle. I thought about it because I'm in kind of the same boat as him. I used to support Seattle. But and they have the Hendricks jersey. So. Jorge, you want to throw a prediction out there?
Yeah.
Even though you're not on the table, we'll let you pick.
I'll put my prediction right next to Mark's. How about that? And I'm going to predict a 2-0 win by Seattle. I think Chicharito's going to come down to earth because no human being can continue this scoring prowess that he has. So I think 5's good enough for him to start, and then just take a day off this time around. But I do think Seattle's a much stronger team than the two that he's faced so far. So I think that defensively they'll be a lot more aware of where Chicharito is and what he's capable of and be able to shut him down. So I say 2-0 Seattle.
All right, next match that I picked was Manchester United against Liverpool. Matt, what's your prediction?
I kind of in the same boat as Connor in that I also picked a draw, but 1-1 instead of scoreless, so slightly more exciting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a boring match as well. I did go Manchester United 1-0 over Liverpool, just because Man United looks like the stronger team at this point in the season. Mark picked Manchester United 2-1 over Liverpool.
You said it right the first time.
Liverpool's right. Yeah, it's Liverpool.
Jorge?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Robert, that it's going to be a super boring game, and it's probably going to be a 1-0 as well. Man United.
Awesome. And the last match that I selected was Werder Bremen versus RB Leipzig. Matt?
I think coaches are overrated. RB Leipzig 1-0.
So I went with Bremen 2-1 over Leipzig, and Mark went with Bremen as well, 3-1 over Leipzig. Jorge?
I went 2-0 over Leipzig. I just have a feeling Werder Bremen is maybe a little underwhelmed, and the fact that Bayern weirdly got rid of Flick, or Flick quit, or I don't know. I haven't read up on exactly what happened, but that may have motivate Leipzig to play a little better. But I kind of agree with y'all that it's a little too late to catch up to be able to win the Bundesliga. But any little opening they can take, this is the game to do it.
And with that, we wrap up our episode this week. Austin Anthem is a supporters group for Austin FC. Catch up with us online and become a member at austinanthem.org and on social media. Anthem merchandise is available on our online store. Free shipping of fantastic Greco gear for in the stands or around Austin. All merch money goes to fund our nonprofit's operation. Today we close out the pod with Magna Carta, an Austin-based hip-hop band that is widely popular, and we are thrilled to play. An extra special tidbit, The artist Dougie Dew from the band is a genuine Austin FC fan and is tuned in with the sport. NPR, KUTX, Mashable, BuzzFeed, and many more media outlets and critics have recognized the unique sound and talent of this band. Be on the lookout for a new album dropping in May. You can find out more about the band at www.magnacartaband.com and on the socials at Magna Carta. The song title, which any Austin FC fan will love, is called The Root. If you'd like to send us music to use in the pod or know some musicians who might be interested, drop us an email at podcast@austinanthem.org. We'd love to showcase more Austin music and musicians to Austin soccer fans. Today's episode was hosted by Matt Barber, Jorge Chavez, and myself, Robert Avery. Remember to leave us a review and subscribe to the show. Send tips on how to make the show better to podcast@austinanthem.org. And remember, wear a mask, stay safe, and we'll